Okay,
This conference will now be recorded.
all right, so let me call this to order. It is 5:30 on the button. Before before Amy goes, let's get the approval of minutes for the May 2nd meeting out of the way. Can I get a motion from anybody?
So
Sure.
moved, Bill O'Brien.
Seconded by Rick Marcone.
Okay, any discussion? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No. Okay. Um, so that passed. Amy, why don't you go?
Hey guys, sorry. How are you? I'm going to breeze through. If you have any questions, you can stop me. Summer camp starts in 2 weeks. Our numbers are really good so far. All of the playground camps are sold out except Johnson has about 10 spots left. So that's almost 700 kids in playground camp. We have the sports camps, which are the first week between the 3 camps that we have about 100 kids signed up. Preschool camp's a little slow, but I'm hoping it'll pick up. But we always expect preschool camp to be a little slow. We have parent meetings coming up for parents, training for our staff coming up. So we're on our way. Beaches are open. Everything is going well so far. We have our lifeguards. We have our beach stickers. Our summer concert series starts in a couple weeks. We're all booked. Everybody's got their contract signed. We're good to go. And staff is all hired. I think we hired about 120 new kids and we had about 120 returning. So we're 240 for the summer. Our rentals are going strong, really, really busy at both the beaches and Booth Park. And I think that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't want to, swimming lessons. We have swimming lessons coming up. We have a whole bunch of sessions at Flood and at Ella. We also are going to do a bunch of open swims for families and adults at Flood as well, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the summer while I have staff home and plenty of lifeguards. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Amy, are you going to have somebody monitor the parking lot at the golf course again like in the past?
I wasn't planning to, Bill, because there's no restaurant and we haven't really had any issues unless there's a golf tournament and it's going to be crowded. I wasn't planning on putting anyone there unless someone tells me I have to.
Yeah, I guess last weekend there were a whole bunch of people showed up. They were going to try to walk down, and I don't know, Chad, you hear anything? I guess John had to somehow chase them away.
I mean, if somebody has an issue, you could just reach out to the mayor's office, and if the mayor's office tells me I have to staff it, the problem with that is, my budget. That's another body that I have to pay to have there. So I don't mind doing it, but I just need to make sure that everybody understands.
Well, Paul's board on the weekend has nothing else to do. Maybe we just put him down there as a volunteer.
There you go.
I'll sit there. Bill just keeps on refilling my cooler with the beer, and I'm all set. That's right. He's retired. He's got nothing to do.
That sounds like an offer.
I have a question though for you guys because I wasn't on the call last month. We planted that tree for Ed, and I need to put something on the plaque, and I'd really like to put something more than just his day of birth and death. I'd like to have something nicely written about him, and I was really hoping you guys could come up with something nice to write on it.
Well, I'm thinking I should talk to Bob Mastroni for ideas since he was such good friends and coached with Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I just would love it to say something like, beloved coach or rec department. He did a lot, and he was rec department supervisor. I don't even know what his title was back then. But, I'd like to reflect who he was, a friend to all, something like that was kind of what I was thinking. So, Bill, if I could task you with that to get back to me, that would be great. And then Aileen already picked out something really nice, so all I got to do is put the writing on it and order it. And then we can do a dedication at some point throughout the summer.
Sounds good.
Okay, great.
Hey, Amy,
Does anyone? Yes.
this is Prez. Is beach volleyball, is that registration still open? Is it going to be going on this summer? Or where's that?
Yeah, beach volleyball is going on. The registration is closed. We have 16 A League teams and 3 B League teams, but we're going to go forward with the B. Chad will probably discuss in his report that he's got new nets going up in the next couple of days or by next week. But this is probably the most teams we've had since I've been here. So we're looking forward to a good season. The schedule's already done and out.
Anybody else have anything? Any other questions for Amy?
Thanks, Amy.
If not,
All right,
thank you,
guys,
Amy.
great. Thank you. You got
Yep.
Aileen, if there's any questions for me, you can always text me and I'll jump back on. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, next up is Park Superintendent report, Chad, if you would.
Sure. Yep, not a problem. I'll start off with Short Beach. Short Beach has been incredibly busy this year. We're up, when I compare January 1st through June 5th, this year to last year, we're up about 500 rounds and $10,000.
Wow.
So our spring was really not that good and conducive to golf. I mean, it could have actually been better. And we're still pulling in crazy numbers, which is really good. It progresses each year, gets better each year. I think word of mouth and with the 4UP systems really outreaching to get, a lot of repeat players and a lot of new players too. So we're excited about that. I'm going to talk about, we have a few projects going on right now that are in current stages. We have the George Force post-tension concrete projects that are nearing completion. The contractor was waiting. He doesn't really use tan paint that much, so he had to order some more tan paint for the floors. And the floors and the lines for the handball court he's trying to get them done by tomorrow, by the weekend, and I hope he fulfills that. But it's very, very close to completion. We did all the sides, all the fill-ins and all of that stuff, got rid of the 6-inch gaps. So everything's ready to go except for just that, just for the handball lines. We have the Barnum Avenue tree well project is about to start. Materials are ordered. They expect them to be in this week or next week. And then we're going to start removing the metal grates on all 88 trees up and down Barnum Avenue and replacing it with like a pour-in-place porous rubber instead. So it'll help with the weed growth. It'll still let air down. It'll still let water down, but it'll be a lot cleaner as a look for the streetscape. We have graduation coming up Monday, June 10th. So preparedness of the properties, both Penders, Stratford High, Bunnell have all been on our schedules, cutting, mowing, blowing, all of that stuff, just the details to get the properties cleaned up. The Yalp playground at Birdseye is nearing completion. They poured the rubber yesterday, so now the pour in place for the towers are in. The pour in place rubber has to sit for 24 to 48 hours to cure. So I have some training as the software to help control it, the games we pick, the loud, how the volume, the hours of use. So I have that coming up early next week, and then we'll be talking with the administration on a kickoff date and opening date for that project. The chapel playground replacement will commence after school recesses. So that being next Tuesday, I'll be talking with Al Corsetti, and a new game time playground will be going up there in a pour-in-place rubber surface. So we're excited about that. Another school to knock off with getting rid of 5-bar and going to a pour-and-play. Eli and Wilcoxon are the next to be replaced and currently in the design processes, picking out playgrounds, picking out materials, all of that stuff. And then once we have that picked out, then we go to budgeting and moving on. So now, as we're working on these schools, we have Eli, we have Wilcoxon, we have Second Hill Lane, we have Lordship. Those are the four schools, but 5 playgrounds that are going to be replaced and put pour-in-place rubber on. So obviously in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be working on these schools to get them all finished. So they're not on such a close cycle for replacement. They'll be kind of staggered a little bit better because there was a huge project in 2008 where a lot of these schools were done all at the same time. So now we're kind of staggering them so that the lighten the load on the budgetary process. Like Amy said, we got new beach volleyball nets. We went over and took a look at wall nets setup and stuff like that. So we bought the Park and Sun, like heavy duty nets that are made for beach volleyball with wire attachments and ratchets and stuff. So really helps with sag, compared to cotton or some type of I forget what it is, like string stretches and all of that stuff. So there's that report. And then I have once we kind of got into, we had the construction going down at Booth Park on the wall. So now that Pavilion 1 is open, we have the cornhole set up down there. So Amy and myself and Aileen were kind of talking, and Aileen sent over a message. She's like, now, is that exclusive to Pavilion 1? Or is it a first come, first served basis? Or is it open to the public? So we wanted to kind of throw it out to the commission to kind of say, do you guys think it should be exclusive if the pavilion is rented? Or should it be just as part of an open park?
This is Paul. I have a question. I'm sorry, and I know where the pavilion is. I know where the softball field is, but I don't know how close the cornhole thing is to it.
It's right next to the softball field. So where the old pavilion was on that upper part near the softball is where it is now. So that pavilion has been removed, and a cornhole, a picnic table, and benches have been put in that area.
Chad, what do people pay for the pavilion area? Do they get any other perks besides the pavilion?
They get the large pavilion, they get use of the bathrooms, all the renters get use of the bathrooms because my staff opens it. The Pavilion 1 has electricity and water. Aileen, is there anything else I'm missing? No, right? They do get used to the softball field, correct?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
considered exclusive as part of the rental?
Yes.
It
And what's
almost
the
seems like
fee?
the corner, if somebody rents it, probably should be.
Yeah, I would if they get the softball field, then I think they should get the cornhole as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same way. If you're gonna, because you don't want everybody else walking through the middle of your picnic to play cornhole. So,
Correct.
I'm all for the if you rent it, you get the cornhole.
Correct. I mean, we could update the rental, the rental guidelines and what's included and stuff like that, and then just change it so that the cornhole is part of it. And it's bring your own bags and all of that stuff. So anybody who would rent would be versed ahead time that you have to bring your own bags, but the structures are there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, listen, I'm good with that. I think if it's right, if it's right in that area, it would be awkward to have other people walking through somebody's picnic or function to use it anyway. So.
Correct, because you have the playground in the same area, and obviously the playground isn't exclusive use to a pavilion rental. So we just wanted to make sure and clarify before anybody made a decision that, you guys were behind this and that, we can move forward with it,
Yep. Does anybody have any objection to doing that?
Not at all.
Do you want
Okay.
to vote on the chat, or you just want the verbal okay?
No, just as long as you guys are okay. I mean,
Yeah.
if for some reason we have a problem in the future and it's brought to this that it shouldn't be, I guess we could address it at that point. But for now, like you said, it's part of the softball. It's part of that area, that kind of exclusive area of renting the pavilion. So I'm good with that. I feel that we should do that too, but just kind of wanted to make sure.
How often is the pavilion rented?
Every single weekend for the summer. I have 2 days left. One is June 16th, which is Father's Day, and July 7th, which no one wants because it's the Sunday of a 4th of July weekend. Otherwise, it's booked every single Saturday and Sunday.
Are those all-day rentals or half days, or how does that work?
Yeah, when you rent a pavilion at Booth Park, it's yours anywhere from 10 a.m. until dusk.
Okay.
And almost exclusively, whatever your time frame is, they're renting it for the whole day. Whether it's 10
Gotcha.
to 4, 12 to 6, they're using it the whole day. We
Okay.
don't
Thanks.
do half-day rentals.
Thanks.
Hey,
All right,
Chad,
so
I don't know if you've heard this request, but it came up at a Board of Ed meeting about fences around all playgrounds. I guess some have them, some don't. And for safety reasons, there's a feeling they'd like to see fences around all playgrounds. What's your feeling on that?
Uh, I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to both, because when you have a playground and you have a structure, a fence structure around it, it takes away from the rest of the property. Let's say Eli Whitney, for example. I know they complain about they want a fence, they want a fence. But to integrate more into the play area or the field area, if you put a fence, then it's not available. It's not really my call. I guess it would have to be projects, and BOE would have to present to us which ones specifically they would want fencing. And then it comes down to capital money because I know BOE raised money to do Lordship School. I think it was around $7,000 to $9,000 to enclose it. So an extra, 10 or 12 grand, depending on the size of the playground per school, somebody has to equate for that budget.
Right.
So
Okay.
what's the safety concern?
Well, I think the main thing that somebody threw out was because there's so many special needs kids these days, and they're afraid kids taking off running. But in fact, you know what? Speaking of special needs kids, actually, what's the word they use now? Kids with exceptionalities. Is that how you say it? But anyhow, it's 200 more kids now than last year. It's something like 1,300 kids in the school system, which costs the Board of Ed a lot of money.
Right. But and some properties, like if you look at Wilcoxon property, how would you put a fence around it? Would you put a fence on the sidewalk and then just enclose the play area? Then you can't have swings,
Yeah.
because the swings would be in the use zone, and so it's very tough. Like very, very tough. Like they fit on some properties, they do some properties, they don't. Um, Second Hill Lane would be another one. Like, how do you wedge that in there? You would
Yeah, I
probably
don't
have to
see
get
how
rid
you do
of the
second lane
swing
at
set.
all. That's because that gets used by so many outside groups. On the weekends and stuff. So how do you fence that in?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the Second Hill playgrounds is fenced in because is designated for special needs children and
Right,
stuff like.
right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And when we do change it, right now it's got a hybrid pour and play surface. When we change it over, that's one of the ones that's coming up in the next year or two. When we change that one over to the new structure, it's going to be all pour and play surface. It's not going to be a hybrid. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see the need. I'm sensitive to the need, but kind of on the properties and structurally and infrastructurally wise and design playground wise, it could be tough. It could be very
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they present to me that, then I would have to tell them, okay, well, if you want to stand a fence, you're going to lose your swing sets, so that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Chad on that. I think if any fence was going to be done, should be done on a larger scale, fencing in school property in general, not
Which,
playgrounds specifically, because
which
some of the
90% of
school
them
grounds have bigger
do.
access.
Yeah, I mean, 90% of them are all fenced in or at least, secluded enough where you're just going to run on grass. There's not
Yeah.
really many schools that are open to the roads per se.
So the other thing these days is I don't know how the heck you guys are keeping up with the cutting of grass. God, is it growing fast? Jeez, it's
Tell me
unbelievable.
about it. Yes, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's definitely a struggle at certain times, and we hear our fair complaints, but we're trying to do our best and trying to cut as much as we possibly can. We like we said before, we have about 350 usable acres that we mow. We have close to 600 total, but 350 usable acres. 125 of those are school properties.
How much?
So
125?
yeah, So it's to try and cut this with the amount of staff that we have and all of that such. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
How about
That's my,
the old center school property? Do we
Chad,
still
is any
responsible for
consideration
that?
given?
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, sorry. Chad, is any consideration? How was it determined if any spaces should be given? I guess kind of given back to nature, given wild. Because there seems like a lot of spaces around town that instead of being mowed, can just be let to go. Go natural, go wild, which would save time and and money for the town, and also give a better natural, lawn
that's
gardens and that sort of thing, just in a natural way.
That is an excellent observation that I've tried to do in my 14 years here, and nobody wants to see unkempt grass. They don't understand, the environmental and the conservation aspects of it. All they complain about is the
Yeah.
critters, the bugs, the mosquitoes, the wildlife, the rats, excellent idea, Tim. Excellent. And the only place that I've really gotten away with kind of changing around is Short Beach Golf Course. I took about two, maybe three out of the 50 acres and started changing it to a long type fescue. And we're managing the long type fescue. And I haven't had any complaints whatsoever down there because it kind of fits the character of the golf course. But if I kind of stop mowing sections, say at like Exchange Park or Booth Street Esplanade, people just go ballistic. They don't understand why.
Okay. Yeah, I see. I understand that too. I see areas around town, especially around the highways area. I mean, even right next to Worcester at Quail Street and Freeman, there's several areas there that nobody goes on, and it just seems a waste to have it constantly cut down when it would do more good
Yeah,
naturally.
we tried it years ago. There's this grass called poverty grass or little blue stem, and it's awesome. It takes no fertilization, takes no water. It gets like I'm sure you know what it is, Mike. It's awesome. It gets very wispy. It gets a golden color. So we spent, this was 12 years ago. We spent about $1,000 on 100 pounds of seed because it's very expensive in the area next to Tide Harbor condos in that whole salt flat area where water from the ocean comes up. Within 2 days, we had to cut everything down because they could not grasp the sense that it was an environmental water retention based environmental area. So from that day on, we've cut it like it's grass, so it's very hard. It's a very hard sell. It's people just don't understand.
That's really sad.
Mhm.
So, Chad, when you talk about the mowing of grass and the challenges, is it more of a staffing issue, more of an equipment issue, combination of both?
It's a combination of both. It's actually, and even a third variable is trying to get onto school properties when there's no children. Because some school properties do not want us there when they're outside interrupting their outside time. Get out of here, leave. So, between trying to schedule mowing when it's convenient for the teachers and the Board of Education, as well as by property, by staffing, equipment is not really that big of a deal. I mean, I have, 16-foot mowers, I have 10-foot mowers, I have 12-foot mowers. It's just the amount of grass and the amount of area, and then factor in our town is about 18 miles. So when you're trying to cut these areas, you have travel time, parking time. We have all of these variables that just increase. I have a 16-foot mower that on paper could mow 12 acres an hour. It's never mowing 12 acres an hour. So we're just trying to figure out how and which best. And then we have, like this past week, we had to mow. Board of Education sends over a whole bunch of things for school picnics and awards nights and this night and that night and graduations and sixth grade graduation, fifth grade graduation. So now we're trying to accommodate Board of Education not to field complaints. Oh, our grass wasn't mowed for our event on a Tuesday. So it's very chaotic. It's very we do the best that we can to try and accommodate everybody.
They did a great job having Academy Hill ready for Memorial Day, and then unfortunately got canceled due to the weather.
Yeah. Yep.
I could imagine how this might be
Chad,
or could be a union issue, but have you considered looking into those Husqvarna uh, GPS mowers?
I not really. I haven't really looked at the GPS mowers yet. So we'll see in the next coming, years. I mean, we just bought a brand new painter, a paint machine that's GPS. So this fall, we're really going to be able to. So now to come this spring for Worcester and all of that stuff, we're not going to have to keep up with all of the soccer fields that we paint. We could let them go because now they're in a GPS program. We send the robot out in September 1st if Sterling Hearts starts September 1st, and we have all the lines painted without doing any measuring or keeping paint. So I can see where that stuff is going, but the mowing I haven't checked out yet.
Yeah, I I know Orono, Blackhawk, whatever you want to call it, has a bunch of them, and I recently played Patterson, and they had them going pretty much everywhere, and they can change the height of cut on the fly. Uh, I think it's definitely interesting, but so something like that doesn't have to be collectively bargained with a union if you're bringing in a robot or something like that.
I don't I don't know. I don't think so because like I said, we brought in a robot paint machine and there was no it makes the job easier for the end user. So I don't think so. We'd still have our properties where a robot couldn't work because of intersection or schools or kids or yeah, so maybe these bigger areas it would work great. And then you find your acreage to put at that and then do your other acreage with our staff. So it's a great idea. I'll look into it.
Do you get temporary summer help like you used to in the way in the past, or is that well,
We just went through interviews today actually, and we're hoping to get 4 guys. Um, it's going to take a little while to put them through the system, but we do have 4 candidates.
good?
And then we still go out to bid for about 50 acres of mowing through an outside contractor as well. So that's continuing too. So it helps, it definitely helps to do these side areas, Broadbridge, Esplanade, this, that, Shakespeare Theater. Like he helps with his weekly mowing, which helps us, but nothing in schools. That's still all our responsibility. Um, courtyards in schools. It's tough. It's a challenging notion, but somehow we get it done, and we do the best that we can.
Well, I played the par three on Monday, and I saw no geese, which was nice. And
Yeah,
I,
this is their see you later time. They're not around now.
and I like the way the ponds look. Is that that's better environmentally, right? With that stuff
Oh
all
yeah.
cut down? Yeah.
Yeah, so talking with Kelly, the next phase for the pond, now that we have a control on the Phragmites, is to do um, water edge plantings, so that it keeps the geese away, as well as, looking at the ponds, re-dredging them, getting to where the drainage works better on the golf course for like number 4 fairway. So we're kind of working with all habitat services to come up with like a master plan to kind of work on for the next few years to establish the ponds and the retention and the drainage better than it has because they're all very, very full. The water levels are extremely high. So that's something that we're working on too.
Chad, I have a question about Worcester Park or Worcester Field. Sorry, I sent you a picture a minute ago, which I don't expect you to see by now, but I kept forgetting to send it the last few weeks. Um, the top of the parking lot on Freeman Ave, where you could access the soccer field. I've been watching that for 45 years, and it used to be a hill. Now it's dirt, gravel, a lot of erosion. People have made it a walkway. It's just the regular way that majority of foot traffic gets to the field, and it continues to erode every season. Can that be looked at, or hasn't been looked at, to possibly look at putting steps in there?
Sure. I mean, we could look at it, sure. And then it would have to go to an engineer to get the spec and all of that stuff. But yeah, we could look at it.
I think that'd be great. I think it's going to continue. It's going to continue to erode because it's the only, it's the most logical way for people to get up and down there. It's not the safest, but it's the widest and most commonly used. So something better would be great.
Sure. Yeah, we could.
Thanks.
I'll throw it on. I'll send something to our director, and then she could weigh in it and stuff on it. Sure.
Thank you.
Fantastic job. All right. If not, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to continuing items. Well, actually, the Lumberg tennis courts. Anything? Do we have anything on that?
Yeah, they're looking good. I talked to Renee, the public works director, I think on Monday, and she said, I guess the painting's finally going to be able to happen now that the warm weather's here. I think that's the next last step.
Yeah, it looked close last time I was there, so that would be nice. Okay, Morgan Francis property. Any updates that anybody knows about for that?
I just know in driving by, I see a lot of activity, so they're starting to do something over there.
Okay. All right. On to new business. Well, the what I was planning to discuss for new business, we've already decided. That was the cornhole issue, so that's good. Does anybody else have anything for new business you want to bring up?
Now,
Okay. Hearing nothing. Next meeting is Thursday, August 1st at 5:30. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Rick Marcone would certainly do that. Everybody have a wonderful July. So we'll miss.
and I'll
I'll
second it.
second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody. I appreciate your time.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
Thanks.